Hi guys, it's Nancy. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk about the Spellbinders Glimmer September Glimmer Kit of the Month. But before we do, a lot of people have asked me, because I've used both major hot foiling systems, the Crafter's Companion Gemini Foil Press, and now the Spellbinders Glimmer system, how do I stop my dies from moving around? And what I did was I found a way to tape my plates together. So you have your heating platform. Okay, and this platform gets plugged into the base of the machine, which is here, okay, and it warms up. And that's the secret to hot foiling, is once this warms up, the dies get hot, activates the adhesive in the hot foil, and that's what sticks to the paper. And it comes with these two plates. It comes with a thin shim, and it comes with what they call the spacer pad. Okay, so, and then what the spacer pad does is it applies pressure when you run the machine, when these are together, when you run this platform through your die cutting machine, which is either a Big Shot, Big Kick, or the Spellbinders Platinum machine. That pressure presses onto the foil, again, giving us direct contact with the paper. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I've taken my plates off, cleaned them up with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and you can see there's still some foil residue on here. It's not going to hurt anything. It doesn't hurt anything. These plates are very sturdy. It's almost like kind of like a carbon fiber, very sturdy plate. But if you do get foil on there, you can rub it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, or a little bit of acetone will work to get those off, but it doesn't hurt anything, okay? So I'm going to take these two plates, and I'm going to tape these two together. So to do that, I want to use a strong, sturdy, heat-safe tape. And I found the best tape that works for me is this Cricut tape. This is Cricut heat-safe tape. And I'm just going to cut off a few pieces of this, couple inches. Okay. And I'm basically going to go around each side and tape my two plates together. Okay, now, if you are using aftermarket foiling dies, or hot foil stamps as they're called, you may want to buy a separate set of plates that are not stuck together. I pretty much only use the Spellbinders ones in my Glimmer machine, so I don't really find that I need to adjust anything with shims because they're designed and meant to work with this machine. So for me, taping my plates together works out. It may change depending on where you live, what kind of products you have, what kind of paper you're foiling on, and so on. So the thickness might change for you. Okay, so once I have all of these sandwiched together, and it's just tape, so if you ever do need to remove it, you just cut the tape off. It's not a big deal. Okay, so those are all taped together, sandwiched together, nice and tight. And it doesn't matter which one's on top. They work the same. Generally, I think most people like the thin shim on the bottom and the clear one on top, okay? Now I'm going to tape this to my plate here. And this is what's going to help prevent, when I'm rolling this through my die cutting machine, from the foils and the paper and everything kind of moving around. So you can't really put tape at the top here because this is where the connector is, right? So the only place you can tape it is on the right or the left. Now, depending if you are right or left-handed, you could tape it to the left if you're right-handed, or you can tape it to the right if you are left-handed. So I'm going to tape mine along the left side of here. So I want to make sure this is all lined up so that when I put this in my machine, it is properly spaced. You don't want this overhanging too much. You don't want it in the way of your handle here. But I'm basically going to apply tape along the left side here. So the easiest way to do that for me is to cut about, I don't know, what is that? About 4 inches. Three to 4 inches. And trust me, I have already done this before. This tape really withstands the high heat of the machine. It's not just, you know, Scotch tape, and you don't want to use washi tape or anything like that, because eventually those tapes, once they get hot, they end up melting, and the residue from the adhesive ends up, oh, that one was way too short. The residue from the adhesive ends up sticking all over your plates, and it's not fun. Okay, so we want about 3 or 4 inches off here. All right, so all I'm doing now is just kind of lining that up on my plate, sticking that down, and I'm just going to create a little spine here. And as I roll this on its side, I'm just going to tape it to the bottom. And I have been doing this for the last few months, guys. It has not hurt my machine. My foiling has come out great. Again, I'm just going to line this up and just take that extra tape and just wrap it around the spine there. Okay, so you can see the tape goes all the way through to the back. I don't want to cover this area here, okay? And just to give it a little bit more stability, I'm going to take a longer piece of tape and just put it along there. And then what will happen is I will just leave this open, and it will, you know, be a little hinge to open when I'm doing my foiling. We're going to take one more piece here. I think I did 2 actually, just to make it more sturdy. I think I did hang off the edge just slightly here. Okay, so now I've taken that down, and then taken another piece, and just kind of reinforce that tape. Okay, so now that you know, that's how I keep my plates from moving. So now when this goes through my die cutting machine, I don't have any shimmying and moving and, you know, stuff that just plain old annoying when it happens, because you think you have this beautiful foiled image and the next thing you know, everything's kind of askew. It does happen. All right, so I'm going to put that platform into my system, let that warm up. It is going to take a few moments. I want to show you guys the Glimmer Kit of the Month, what it comes with, and this is for September 2021. And we get a couple of cutting dies, and we get a couple of hot foil stamps. Remember, hot foil stamps impress into the foil with the heat, and they leave a design behind. The dies are regular cutting dies, so they're going to cut your paper. The hot foil stamps do not cut, and the dies, well, they're not generated for foiling, even though you could foil with them. That's a video for another day. All right, so we have a bunch of fun sentiments here. So we have congrats. This is all one here. Wishing you a happy birthday. Thank you, and yours truly. And you can see that some of them have a little bit of a curve to them. So you could do wishing you a happy birthday. So you can cut that out with the die. And then we have this kind of diagonal stripe pattern, and we have a die, and we have this diagonal little fishtail border, and then we also have a die. Now, they go in the same direction, so you could put them side by side if you wanted that to be longer. You can put them in opposite directions. Remember, you can interchange your foil to different colors, so it's just a nice added sentiment set to add to your collection. And that's what I like about this, is that the Glimmer Kit of the Month is something that is just going to enhance what you already have and allow you to build up your stash without having to, you know, necessarily jump into a full kit or anything. The color of foil that they sent me is called Polished Brass. And I thought it was similar to the gold, so I grabbed out my little Christmas set, and this has a gold in it. And actually, it is different. It's slightly different. Let me show you guys side by side so you can see. Okay, so the gold is more yellow. Hopefully you guys can see that there. So this is the gold. Definitely has more of a yellow tint to it. Okay, and the brass has a little bit of an orange color to it. So the brass is like brass and the gold is like gold. So they are different. So if you think, oh, it's the same, it is not the same. It is different. So I wanted to show you guys that. Little difference there. And then I have my little Spellbinders Platinum machine off to the right. So before we get started, I want to see how all of these things foil. I'm going to pull my cutting dies out, which are these three here. And I just have a piece of Hammermill cardstock here. And we're going to let the machine heat up. I like to have my platform and my dies all closed up in there. So I always like to do a little sample test to make sure that I like the way everything looks. Just going to do like this. And I like to use the grid lines to make sure that, you know, I'm kind of on a straight line here. And yes, if you do have other foiling systems, these hot foil stamps will work in your other hot foiling systems. Okay, that's good. So we're going to let this warm up. We have the machine warming up. The power light is on, but we need to wait for the platform ready button to turn green, and then we'll hit the timer. So I will pause the video until that is ready to go. Okay guys, my platform button just turned green. So now what I'm going to do is I just have a piece of this brass foil, and we always want to put the colored side down because the adhesive is on this side, right? And then we're going to just place our piece of paper. And again, this is just my testing to make sure I like the foil color. I want to see how the designs look. And then we're going to close that down, and we're going to hit our timer button, which is going to blink for about 60 seconds. And what it's doing is it's warming up all of the dies, the foil, and getting that adhered to the paper. And while that is blinking, I'm going to move that to the side. I will bring in my platinum machine. And once it's done, we're going to pull the whole platform out, and we're going to slowly feed it through our platinum machine. And I like using the Tim Holtz glass mat because number one, the machine does get pretty warm, but also the little feet on here, it will stay. It's not going to move, and we'll just crank that through. So when that is done blinking, the timer light will stay solid green, and that's when we'll know that it's ready. And all I'm going to do is pull the platform out. I'll pull it straight out of the machine. It just comes right out, and then I'm going to feed it through. Okay, so it is done blinking now. And I'm going to slowly roll this through. I'm not adding any extra shims, any extra plates. Just slowly going to run it through. Normally 3 or 4 passes works for me. And again, I'm using Hammermill. I think this is 80-pound cover stock. It's color copy cover stock in 80-pound. I usually use 80 or 100-pound Hammermill. Works great. Hot foil will stick to anything though, which is nice. So if you wanted to do colored cardstock, if you wanted to do textured cardstock, that's the advantage to hot foiling, is it will stick to anything. All right, we're going to slide this out of the way. I have put my platform back into the heating unit. And now what we're going to do is open that up. And we can now let this cool just a second. And we're going to reveal how everything looks. I am pretty happy with that. That looks pretty good. Now, obviously, I wouldn't suggest foiling everything at once. You may want to do a little bit of something and then go back, change the color of foil, changing it. But I always like to do a test run so that I know what it looks like. And then I kind of keep these with my dies so that when I'm going through and trying to make a card later and I'm like, dude, I don't know what I have. This is a good index to see what it looks like, right? All right. So now that I know what we have, let's put together a card. I'm actually going to grab some colored card stuff. I think I have a piece right here. Okay, this is a nice olive green. And I'm going to cut this down to 5 1/4 by 4. You can leave it larger and then cut it down once you're finished with your project if you want to do that. Sometimes I do that because my sentiments aren't always straight. And you should use the magnetic tweezers that come with the machine. I don't have those in front of me right now, so I'm just going to take these off and set them aside to cool down. They are warm to the touch. Definitely do not recommend doing this with any children. I'm just going to do a simple thank you. All right. So, if I would to put my card here, then I want the thank you kind of right here at the bottom. And I'm actually going to add the stripe back in right underneath it. I'm going to move everything up a little bit here. All right, and I'm going to use the same piece of brass because I think that's going to stand out nice on that dark olive green. And you generally want to cut the foil down so it fits. You don't want it too large. You'll get a lot of overfoiling with that. So try to cut it as close as possible. You don't want it too small because then you're going to have to, the foil will shrink slightly as you're foiling. And a lot of times you do kind of want to cut the corners off because they tend to lay and stick on the paper. And when they do that, you get overfoiling in the corner. So I do like to just trim my corners a little bit. All right, so you can see that heat going right in. I'm going to use my grid marks here to make sure that I am centered. Like that. Okay, and once again, hit the timer button. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay, we are done blinking. And we're going to just remove that platform. Now, if I wasn't filming, I would leave everything open on the desk, but because you guys are along for the ride, I want to make sure you can see everything I'm doing. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove these guys. And I'm going to bring in last month's August Glimmer of the Month had these floral elements. And I just want this little cluster right here. I'm going to bring that in, okay? And I do think that would look really cute on top of my thank you. So we're going to put that there. And it already says platform ready. Let me show you what this looks like. Perfect. Okay, we have a little overfoiling, but I'll show you how to take care of that. And now I want to foil this again, and that's what's great about hot foiling is I can continue to go through and foil this. I have a little bit of overfoiling here, so I'm just going to take a mono sand eraser, and it will very gently take that excess foiling off. So it is not in the way. I have a little bit of excess foiling in here too. And basically anything that's not pressed down by the die, yeah, the foil wants to stick to your paper, but it's not anything permanent. So a soft eraser, this mono sand eraser works perfectly because it's going to lift the foil from those excess areas, but it's not going to go in and lift any foil from where you have your die. So that looks pretty good. And then I want to add that floral image. So I'm going to take some of the bright pink glimmer foil. And we're going to cut just enough to match the size of our image here. And I like to keep my foil stored in their original boxes. Dust is the enemy of foiling. It scratches your foils and so on. So you want to keep that pretty tidy. Again, just trimming off the corners. You don't have to do this. All right. And I'm just going to press that right there. And line up my card. And hit the timer button. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay guys, we are done blinking. Removing the platform again. Running it through our platinum nice and slow. Taking our time. And again, I have not added any extra shims or paper or anything. I'm just using the two that came, the spacer pad and the thin shim that came with the foil press machine. Okay. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. And I always let it cool down a second because you want to make sure that you have even adhesion with everything. And I'm going to cut this down a little bit. So I want 5 1/4 by 4. Are you ready? Ta-da! Look how simple, but how pretty. Very easy to make thank you card. A lot of wow factor there with the hot foiling. I'm going to go in later and add some gems. I can still go in and color this with some color pencils because the color pencils will sit on top. And this is a top folding note card, but I think that olive green with the brass, the hot pink, that little bit of embellishment in the diagonals down here. There we go. And that's using the August and September Glimmer Kit of the Month. So there you go. Definitely go check them out at Spellbinders. I'll put the link down below for you. Again, the foil color that is going to come with the September kit is going to be the polished brass. The add-on color that I used is the bright pink. And these are both glimmer hot foils. And I used the August kit of the month floral and the September kit of the month the thank you and the diagonals. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you use this technique, please tag Spellbinders and Nancy Stamps in your Instagram or your Facebook posts. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep on foiling. Bye-bye.